Good evening, everyone. We are live. Hey, I'm happy tonight because I get the chance to meet other wonderful puppeteer. So it's so cool to have you people who are watching. Write into the comment from where you are watching. We are always curious about the people, the crowd, and if you have questions during the interview, feel free to ask. I'm Caroline. I'm doing this puppet podcast with a lot of passion. And I have my boyfriend involved in that. And we are giving tools to puppeteers to help them with promotion, with online strategy, how we can reach more people. So this art is an expansion, I feel, from the podcast perspective. I want to, before we go into the interview, just to let you know that we organize a workshop as part of our Patreon community. We are building this workshop with Edwin Salas. So this is on January 10. It will be at 2 on a Sunday afternoon, and we will talk about OBS. If you don't know OBS is kind of a free platform to manage you with the technical aspect, to stream online on multiple platforms. And yeah, it's helping you to just put your show online, or to discover this way of doing maybe another kind of puppetry with live or not live, maybe record and play with that. So OBS is really interesting. And yes, Edwin have a lot of experiences. He started from the beginning of the pandemic, and he know all the tools and tricks. So we will have him to give us some advice. So have a look on. I will put just the banner right here. It's on the Patreon. So the address is right there. You go Patreon-Puppet Podcast. So here was the promotion time, but now let's go to the interview. So yeah, tonight we connect with US people, US puppeteers, and I'm so happy to bring in the screen Mr. Bernier-Dionne.
Thank you for that thunderous applause. Please, everyone, sit down. Sit down. Stop with the standing ovation already, please, please.
From all over the world. Thank you, Barry, to be part of this adventure of podcasting online in live.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's so fun to connect with talented people, and I get the chance to
Wait, talented people? You wanted to connect with talented people?
Yeah.
Oh, you got the wrong person. I got to go there.
No.
Yeah, you were looking for talented people.
Talented like you. You are so talented. I saw your
we've got to
image
raise
online.
standards.
You are good, Barry. I want yourself to introduce you and your work to the people who are watching right now.
Okay, well, my name is Barry Gordemer. Many of you know me from the name Handemonium Puppets, which is the puppet company I started 36 years ago. I do a lot of puppets these days for ventriloquists. But over the years, I've done quite a bit of television and video projects and some small films. And for a time, I was really known for making look-alike puppets. And so, and it just keeps morphing into something new almost every year.
Yes, new challenge with new client all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And I want to let you know, Barry, that we have people who are watching from Honduras. So that's cool, eh? I can drop.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yay. We have fans all over. So you will be famous all over in the puppetry community.
Well, that's good. I could use all the help I can get.
Yeah, and you are known for all of that. I heard your name many times, and when I post the interview that we do, people just comment, "Oh, I love what he's doing and his work," and so it's so cool. So, are you ready, Barry, for the deep question of the puppet podcast?
Let me have it. Probe deep.
Yes, let's jump on it. And your background is amazing, by the way. I can put it a bit larger so people could see, but You have wonderful friends, so I can't wait for the end of the interview to see those.
Yeah, that's got a bunch down here. This is my basement work studio where I spend way too much time. And I'm not going to show you all the stuff that's littering the floor.
Yeah, we don't see it. We just
only the clean stuff. Only the clean stuff we're showing.
That's perfect. That's TV. That's what we do. So first question is the why. Why do you cherish the art of puppetry?
You know, it's a really interesting question. It's something I was bitten by a bug. I was bitten by a virus 35, 6, 7 years ago, and I've just never gotten over it. I used to be a news reporter in Charlotte, North Carolina. And in 1983, I interviewed 2 puppeteers. Excuse me, Donald Devon and Drew Allison, the founders of Gray Seal Puppets in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I went down to their little workshop, their basement workshop at the time, and on the walls they had rows and rows of all of these puppets, different shapes and colors and characters. And I just remember looking at them and I thought, I want to do that. And Donald and Drew were very famous for publishing a book called The Foam Book, which is a step-by-step guide to using foam rubber. I think it's still in print. And I know they did a video version of that at some point. And at the time, the very first version of that book was called The Wit and Wisdom of Polyfoam. And so I lied. I said, can I have a copy of that book for my aunt? And I went home and I struggled through it and I made a puppet. And it was awful. And I just threw it away. For some reason that I still don't understand, I made a second puppet and it came out pretty good. Well, this is kind of fun. And I had no idea what I was going to do with it. A few years later, I moved to Minnesota, and one of the puppets that I made looked like somebody that I worked with at my new job in Minnesota. And I hadn't intended that. So when his birthday came up, I made him another version of that puppet that looked like him. And soon I started getting orders from people for look-alike puppets of their friends and their families. And that's when I thought, I might be able to turn this into something. And that's how it all started. It was a complete accident. I had never thought about puppetry in my life, never, beyond playing with some things as a kid, never thought it was something I would end up doing in any way, shape, or form. And it hit me like a rocket.
I love it. It's so great to voice it like this. It's a rocket.
Yeah, it just boom. And I've been hooked ever since. And there have been ups and downs over the year. So after the look-alike puppet phase sort of was waning a little bit, in the 90s, mid-90s, I was living in Washington, D.C. I live there now. There's a lot of wonderful puppetry in Washington, D.C. with the school systems, the Smithsonian museums, all the tourist business. And I looked around and I thought, I can't do puppet shows like these people. They were really so good. So what is my place in puppetry? And of course, we were all huge Muppets fans. So I thought, I'm going to do puppets for television. So I just started telling people that's what I do. I actually had never done it, but that's what I was doing. But eventually it started to leading to a lot of work in television. A few things national. I did some work for Animal Planet, the Discovery Channel, did a series for them called Animal Planet News. Two wildebeests were delivering the news. They were the news, GNUS, the news with the news. That was my first big break. And then I started doing a lot of educational videos, corporate videos, and all of that work just for years and years. And then as computer animation started getting cheaper, all of that dried up. There's very, very little. And then about 4 years ago now, I did a Toyota commercial. And the person who hired me was a ventriloquist. He said, you ought to make ventriloquist figures. And so that's what I've been doing predominantly for the last 3.5, 4 years now.
Wow, that's such a great story. It's really interesting to have the step by step, your crush and all of it.
So yeah, this is one of my guys.
Yeah.
Can-
That's so cool. You have like a touch, something really special, I feel.
So one of the things that I've become known for over the years is being very sculptural in my film work. And I'm also sort of known for having a very seamless look on my puppets.
Yeah.
And that all draws, it comes from doing the work in television, where you have to really hide the seams well on your puppets. And I've kept that going, and it's very popular with the ventriloquists.
Yeah, because they are like mostly they have big giant camera going towards them.
Right, right.
So it's important to have a slick puppet. That's great.
Yeah, so that I've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff. This is something for an online television show that somebody's developing. So I'll be hopefully doing a few more puppets and getting out for him. This is a lookalike puppet of the person who's the host of the show.
Oh yeah, it's a lookalike.
Mm-hmm. His name's LeJean.
That's so great. I love the hair. How it's made with. That's so nice. Yeah.
He's a little more realistic looking, a little more proportional.
Yes, it's really, really realistic and it's pretty.
And he's made with arm rods that screw in and out, which is a very popular thing in television, be able to remove the arm rods. Sometimes placing green screen ones or just so they can hold props or hold a steering wheel in a car or something like that without seeing the...
Yes, a lot of detail. We have Derek who say like the details are amazing.
Yeah, and I get obsessed with those details. Love doing the little details here and there and things like that. And then the other thing I've been known for lately is I developed a blinking eye mechanism for puppets that's controlled inside the puppet with no external controllers. Here's something that I'm working on right now.
Oh my God.
And it took me a lot of years to develop this mechanism, but I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
Slow.
Really slick motion.
And you can do it with the mouth open or closed.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm getting known for. And I've just started doing something new, is I've actually started 3D printing eye mechanism for the first time.
Wow.
I have been making these out of hollow Christmas ornaments.
Okay. Yes.
In different sizes because they're really available. But then I thought, oh, I don't know, what about 3D printing? And so I'm in the process of experimenting with doing a 3D printed mech.
Wow.
And the great thing about the 3D mech is I can size them up or size them down real easily in the software. And so then I don't have to go out and stock, numbers of parts in different sizes.
Yeah, you do it in the machine, do it for you.
So far I've made one puppet with the 3D printed mech, and I'm going to keep working on that and getting that perfected a little more. But it was really important for me to control it inside. When I would do television puppetry, I used to rig up my mechanisms with a cable, and another puppeteer would control the eye mechanism. This is a puppet back here that I did for a children's television show. Oh gosh!
Yeah, with the
now, he's made of latex, and so the eyes were controlled by another puppeteer, and I would use these cable mechanisms.
Oh wow! Look at this.
And the thing with the cable mechanisms, they work great, but for someone like a ventriloquist on stage, they don't want to see this. They don't want to have that showing up.
No.
And the other thing with cable mechanisms, they're great when they're new, but once the cables start to get kinked and things like that, not so good. No. And so I really wanted to develop a a mechanism, and it literally took me, gosh, almost 20 years to get it. And now I'm just having a blast.
I understand. That's a lot of details, and it's a Einstein right there. We have him talking.
Yeah, so he sat up on a bookshelf and dispatched wisdom on this show. So one person doing the puppetry and somebody else doing the eye mechanism controls. And I made a puppet for Darcy Lynn, the singing ventriloquist, this year. And this was the prototype of the puppet that I made for her.
Yeah.
I did some stylistic changes to make it look a little younger. But this is an early version of that mech as well.
Wow. Yeah, it's online with this puppet. It's kind of a Justin Bieber character.
Yeah, she's calling him Ivan. And so the version that she's doing is a little hipper and stuff. We gave him some hair. But this was just for me, because it was still early on when I was doing the mechanism, just to get it down. But I wanted to be able, when you sing, it'd be like, la. Be able to close the mouth.
Yeah.
So many times when people do mechanisms, the puppeteer has to stop their performance to do the mechanism. So I wanted it integrated so you could keep talking and doing all these other things and not have to stop the puppet and do it.
Yeah. Ooh, that's so cool. It's working so well.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. And I just I used to read so many different things about how to do mechanisms. And then about 3 years ago, it finally all came together. And I have all throughout my shop, I just kept all the prototypes. And when I finally got it working, it's like, oh my gosh. And I was like doing a little happy dance in my studio.
Yeah, all together. That's the reveal. So I want to ask you this question about I always talk about a crush, but maybe you can have an anecdote around that, like a crush for a puppet, or when you have some kind of that moment. Do you have an anecdote in specific?
Well, I'll tell you, it did start with a crush. So in the early 2000s, there was a show on PBS called Between the Lions. And this was a show about a family of lions who lived in a library. And the puppets were beautifully crafted puppets. And many of the Muppet were Peter Linz played Theo the lion. And I got to meet Peter. And he let me try on Theo. And when I reached inside, I felt this little mechanism that you pull back with your middle finger. Well, I was first of all, I was obsessed with the beauty of this puppet because the camera didn't do it justice. Seeing it up close, it was remarkable. But I felt that mechanism inside, and that became an obsession. How was I going to make that mechanism? And I read everything and looked at everything, and I found out that Jim Krupa was the guy who did the mechanism in that puppet. So I started looking around for stuff. Where there's Jim Krupa, and of course he's written nothing and published nothing. But eventually I did find that my mechanism ended up being a hybrid of a mechanism that Jim Krupa made. And then there's a guy named Dave Prevett, and he has a series of instructional videos called From Sketch to Show. And I got his video, and I studied that. And then also BJ Geyer, who does who's done several puppet making videos for the Stan Winston School. He had some ideas for a mechanism. So I stole a little bit from Jim Krupa, from Dave Prevett, and BJ Geyer, and I ended up sort of really simplifying. My mechanism is stupid simple to build and to make and to fix. But I was obsessed with that puppet because it was so gorgeous, and I was obsessed with that pulling back. So many people make mechanisms they have to reach up for. Once you're reaching up, then you're really losing control. And I had played with some puppets that had a control on the arm rod. And that's the first version of that I did that with the arm rod. But there's something about keeping it inside is really what my goal was. Now, ventriloquists, and the hard figures, they have all those controls on the stick, and they love mechanisms. But nobody in the vent world was doing a mechanism in a soft puppet before. Doing something made of collapsible, squishable foam. And so that was really my goal. I wanted to be the first to do that.
Yeah.
And in the event world, I think I'm the only person doing this right now.
That's amazing.
I'm sure there's somebody else doing it, and I don't know who they are.
I don't like. I start documenting stuff, but I think you're the first who's showing to me. No, I can't say that.
So they're looking like on the inside.
Yeah.
But at some point, I will probably publish something on how I do that mechanism. But I need to get a few more years under my belt because my puppets are made to last, and they've got a pretty good. I've made very few repairs over the years. I want to wait until this mechanism's been out there another couple of years and performers have been using it.
Yeah.
So I can understand when they break, why they break.
Yeah.
How to make that better. So when I get the sort of a sense of the history, then I'll know if I've chosen the right materials, and so and again when I do come out either with a video or a book or something, I want to be able to tell people not just how to make it, but how to make it last and how to fix it.
Yes.
So I do get a lot of requests for people asking me about that mechanism. I'm saying, not quite ready. I am going to do something. That is my plan, but I still have work ahead of me.
Yeah, we have people asking like amazing merch, any workshop, like yeah, people want it. They deserve your talent and your tricks.
Yeah, and I love teaching. I really enjoy it. I've done workshops at puppetry festivals and things like that. And then I have some online puppet making videos with the wonderful company Creative Mundo. They're based out in Salt Lake City, and they have instructional videos online. Both of my courses, I have two courses, one in basic foam rubber construction and one in making look-alike puppets. Each video is 9 hours long, step-by-step instructions, include patterns and material lists. And then you can go to my website, handemonium.com. That's the shirt there.
Yeah.
Handemonium.com. And there's a tab at the top that you can click for my puppet making videos. Planning to do a third one in the summer. We're going to do one on animal puppets. But hopefully COVID will be settled down a little bit then. And there, what's been really interesting about COVID is I thought my business was just going to drop off to nothing.
Yeah.
But last year was my biggest year ever in terms of the number of puppets I made in 1 year. I did 30 last year and I did 27 this year. So really no drop off. But I've heard that from other puppet makers too, that they've had a really good year.
Yeah.
And I think I figured out what it is, particularly for ventriloquists. They're having downtime. And so this is the first time they've had to develop new characters and a new act. When they're working all the time, there's no time to do that. So I think that's part of the reason why my business has been okay during COVID.
Yeah, that's a good analyze, and it's great. And we have questions from the audience. We have
Furry. Please ask anything.
Ask.
If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up.
Yeah, look, it's right there. How do you make those beautiful iris in the eyes?
Oh yeah. So it depends on the puppet. When you're doing a blinking eye, you can't use like an animal eye or a teddy bear eye because it bulges out. So you need something that goes flat against the eye. So I make my eyes out of vinyl, vinyl, and then I have all these different size hole punches.
Oh yeah.
So you can cut out. So that'd be the pupil, and so like you see there. So I got a little green going in there, and then a black in the center, and then so for this eye here, not sure how much of that shows.
Yeah.
Just a little filling in and stuff, coloring with markers and stuff to bring out the colors in the eye. So I've got some other purples and some greens and some blues in there as well. And
you draw it
right there. So that makes a really good eye. And the thing is, you can reposition it, you can change it. So it's permanent stick-on vinyl. And I've got hole punches of every different shape and size depending on it. And this is typically the size that I use on my puppets, which is like a 50 millimeter eye.
Uh-huh.
And of course, then you can see how big that one is.
So you draw it with pen, like the iris of it.
Yeah, I just did it with Sharpie.
Oh, that's great. That works beautifully.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see those colors.
Yeah, we see the purple.
So there you go.
Yeah, and I have a question for you about the future and your purpose as a puppeteer. Like, what is your vision of like the goal or the thing you want to achieve in your business and career?
Well, I think the way my career is 36 years later after starting, it is now where it was 36 years ago. I have no idea where it's going next. I never planned this. And when the television work began to evaporate, I started wondering, oh gosh, am I done? Is this over? And all of a sudden the world of ventriloquism sort of dropped on my lap. And it's a different style of, I had to change my building techniques to adapt to what ventriloquists need in a puppet. There are a lot of things that translated over from television puppets. But I had to change some things up, like most notably the size. Let me see if I can show you this. So here's a puppet from, God, this puppet is about 25 years old.
Oh.
So you can, and it's a rather large puppet.
It's so beautiful. It communicates so much. We really feel the beingness of this guy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, with the cigar.
Yes, very politically incorrect. So you can see sort of the size of him. Now let's go to a more recent one. Look at just the difference in the size of the heads. Let's get the camera here. So
maybe I can put it bigger, but it's...
Yeah, let me get one on one hand and one on the other. I think you get a little sense of that. Well, let me see if we can just match them up chin by chin there. You can see.
Yeah, I think I can put you in big like this.
There we go.
Yeah.
So they're about a third smaller, about 25 to 30% smaller than I used to make them. And the reason being, I noticed at a ventriloquist convention, when women or children would pick up my puppets, the puppets seemed enormous and unwieldy in their hands. So what I wanted to do was scale everything down, and so they fit children and female hands and bodies better.
Yeah.
And of course, ventriloquists really like having legs and stuff like that. So having to build them so they can either stand or sit. So it was coming up with a knee joint that is flexible, but also can be rigid as well, depending on the angle. So these will actually stand in there, but if you want them to sit, you can flex it as well. So coming up with that. And then also the inside of the puppet, because ventriloquists will often switch characters in the middle of the show. So you have to be able to get the puppets on and off really quickly. And so a lot of puppeteers really like to have finger tubes inside the puppets, but they can be a little cumbersome if you're trying to get them on stage. Like, for example, Darcy Lynn, the singing ventriloquist, talked about that. She tries to get on a new puppet in 6 seconds. Take off one puppet and the new one in 6 seconds. So you've got to be able to get your hand in there. Just as I'm trying to do it, I can't do it. You got to get your hand in fast and be ready to go.
Yeah.
So it was inside the puppet. So it would be easier and fast, and also for people who were new to puppetry or ventriloquism, so they could just put their hand inside and know what to do and not have it explained to them.
Totally. Wow.
I really like this guy. I really sort of did realistic eyes, and they're kind of soulful.
I love it. It's so.
And I liked. I sort of, in looking at the guy, I noticed he had a really sort of nice, beautiful, round, sculptural forehead. That I really enjoyed sort of doing those kind of lines.
It's charisma.
Yeah,
have a
this
lot
was
of
really
them.
fun. The guy has got a great face. And the moment he said he wanted to look like puppet, I said, "Oh, yes, please. Yes, I want to do it." And he was taking bids for other puppeteers. And I was going to say, "I'll do it for nothing. I'll pay you. Let me do the puppet." And he came back to me. So, great guy named Laron. And
That's perfect.
but he just had a beautiful face. He already, to me, looked like a puppet. I wanted to do him so bad.
That's so cool. Yeah. So Barry, we have plenty of comment right there. Like
Okay.
Stephen who said that he saw you and
Oh,
you
Steve
became a
Petra, the
friend.
wonderful, amazing Steve Petra.
Yeah.
One of the great minds of puppetry.
Yeah, and we have also Ledwin who said that you are genial in French. Génial.
You have bad judgment in any language.
And Barry, if people want to see more of you, want to discover more of your work, how they can reach you and see?
Well, I am on Instagram and Facebook. You can either do my name, Barry Gordimer, on Facebook, or Handemonium. You'll get me on Facebook. Handemonium.com is my website. I'm just Barry Gordimer on Instagram. And so you'll come across all of my stuff. I've been very busy with ventriloquist work, and I try to post often and try to offer tips. Feel free to drop me a line, any kind of questions about how to make puppets. I have no secrets. I think one of the great things about this art form is how willing everybody is to share.
Yes,
and that's one of the nicest people on the planet I know are puppeteers. And so many come from an educational background, a teaching background, and that's one of the great things about it.
Yeah.
Whether you don't have to go to a puppet festival or a ventriloquist convention to learn. Everybody is so remarkably generous with their talent and their time.
Yes, that's true. And people still curious. We have David who asked for classes, so maybe you will have few students.
Yeah, well, maybe when we get past COVID, I can do some in-person workshops again. In the meantime, I do have those two puppet making videos, each one 9 hours long. They're step-by-step details with material recommendations and things not to use as well. And, all of my bias and all of my very strong opinions about what I think works in a puppet and doesn't work in the puppet. And of course, everybody else is wrong, and I'm right about everything. Never been wrong, ever.
I love it. Yeah, thank you, Barry. I think we get your essence, your passion. You are such a
You're my madness.
Your madness about puppetry, but we love it.
Well, I love doing it too. It's just that moment in the Gracie Puppets studio. I mean, I guess I once heard a wonderful speech by someone who said, "Life makes sense in reverse." When you go back and you look at how your life has progressed and you see how one thing led to another, it all makes sense. At the time when it's happening, it doesn't make sense. But now when I look back and that day that I arrived in that studio, my life was transformed in that moment. And it was no looking back. And that book, that thin book back there, that gift that they gave me was my passport to the most wonderful journey I ever could have imagined.
Wow.
And the journey's continuing. And I still learn stuff every day. In fact, I just learned something new today on this guy when I was putting in his eye mechanism. I thought, wait a minute, there's an easier way to do this. I've been doing it the hard way. So I'm still learning stuff every day. And I learn all the puppet makers who put pictures online and those who've taken my courses and they show me their puppets. I learn all the time, and I love learning. And I think it's something also that so many puppeteers have in common is that they're lifelong learners. And that's part of the magic of what we get to do.
Yeah, you're David.
Right. I'm a philosophizer. Hey.
Yeah. learner all your life. You
Mhm.
learn from everything, from the
Yeah,
object.
but I can't put into words what it means to me and what it has meant to me and the people I have known and treasured because of puppetry. It's just, like I said, it was that moment. Looking back, my life launched that moment.
Wow, that's so cool. Thank you for this cherished moment. It's so precious to name it and to vision it and just
Mhm.
like those. I feel it's why I'm doing those interview. I feel sometimes it's just a reminder of what puppetry brings to us.
Mhm.
Thank you, Barry, for all of this. It's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you, Carolyn. I've enjoyed this. I've been watching your podcast. I've enjoyed it, your guests as well. And I'm happy to come on anytime and answer questions. And, it's just, it's a joy for me.
Yes,
And I
so
can see the joy that it brings to you.
yeah, yeah, it's a lot of joy and it's so much truth. That's what in this world of crazy madness. It's so funny how people could feel puppeteers are the craziest, but
But we
no,
are. Look,
we
we're grown up who get to play with dolls. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
yeah, but it's so much so truthful that it's key to play in life. So
Hmm. Yeah.
I love to promote that too. Thank you, Barry. I don't want, but I will have to push you out of the screen and do the end. But stay in the virtual studio, okay? We chat after this interview,
Okay.
okay?
I'll stay
Okay.
right here.
Thank you again. Yay! Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. It was a wonderful puppetry sharing moment. And yeah, I want to just say again that we have this workshop coming about OBS, more electronic than building, but we will have other building for sure workshop. So this one is with Edwin Salas, and we will talk about all of those aspects of online streaming and this platform OBS, what it is, and we will talk about the change, the chroma, the filter, how to integrate all of that into our performance online. So yeah, everyone, feel free to write to us and share this interview because we have so much fun and passion to share and bring to the world. So I wish you a wonderful evening. Stay safe. And yes, we will have other podcasts coming next week. So have a wonderful evening or morning, however you are in the world. Bye.